Thanks for joining us for the Long Island Sound podcast. Each week we explore new music and dive deeper with the artists and their stories behind the music. Please subscribe and rate and review us wherever you stream this podcast. Here's your host, Steve Yusko.
What a blast I had with today's guest, Jenna Torres. She was a single mom shortly after 9/11, in the music business, but then became very prolific in writing songs. Well, she was found out by a producer in L.A. and dragged out to Nashville, where she became a country star. You're going to find her music very soulful, very inspiring, and I know you're going to enjoy this episode. So let's check out Jenna's song, Just a Mountain.
Seems like just an hour ago, everything was fine. I was heading toward the setting sun, one step at a time. I'm used to what I'm used to, and I don't much like change. But this road I'm on is getting steep, and all that I can say is it's just a mountain. Feet don't fail me now, it's just a mountain. Can't get there lying down. Gotta dig down deep, keep holding on. Don't give up, keep rising strong. Ain't no way to go around it. It's just a mountain. When the bitter wind is blowing, chills you to the bone. You got miles and miles beneath your feet, makes you feel alone. Comes up out of nowhere, tries to stop you in your tracks. You gotta find your way up somehow, 'cause there ain't no turning back. It's just a mountain. Feet don't fail me now, it's just a mountain. I can't get there lying down. Gotta dig down deep, keep holding on. Don't give up, keep rising strong. Ain't no way to go around it. It's just a mountain. I don't stop for nothing. It keeps right on coming. You know it's not enough to keep me down. It's just a mountain. It's just a mountain. It's just a mountain. Feet don't fail me now. It's just a mountain. I can't get there lying down. Gotta dig down deep, keep holding on. Don't give up, keep rising strong. Ain't no way to go around it. Ain't no way to go around it. It's just a mountain. It's just a mountain. It's just a mountain. Oh.
Jenna Torres is an artist whose musical career took an inspiring turn in the desperate months after 9/11. As a newly single mom, she found refuge in her songwriting and working a day job just blocks from ground zero. The songs she wrote at the time opened doors she never expected and gave her the opportunity to follow her dreams. Jenna knows a thing or two about traveling the rough roads and driving headfirst and into all that life and love have to offer. I love that line. I didn't write it. Jenna's solo career has a string of albums, which we'll dive into today. In her forthcoming album, Heaven and Hurt, Jenna continues to offer hope, interwoven with heartache, gratitude, and a strong dose of reality. Originally from New York and now residing in Nashville, I am so happy, and I mean this, Jenna, to welcome Jenna Torres to the Long Island Sound podcast. Jenna, so great to have you. Really my
Thank you,
pleasure.
Stephen. It is a pleasure for me too. I'm thrilled to meet you.
So this happened really kind of quick for us, and this is kind of like
Yeah.
speed dating,
Yes,
interviewing
exactly.
you. And I listened to your songs, and one of the first impressions I got is, holy crap, you really bear it all out there, and do it in the first person, which is I don't know, it's got to be difficult. It's really I love that about what you do. So how is that as a process when you put out a song that's so close to your heart and your experiences, and now it's out for the world to hear? What's that like?
It is. It's an exercise in absolute vulnerability for me. Um, I guess at some point I came to the realization that the value of doing this
Mhm.
comes from is equal to the risk I'm willing to take.
Okay.
If I'm not willing to risk being seen, then I've sort of shortchanged myself, and I've shortchanged the person who receives the music. So, um, you know, I think in my case, it is a byproduct of maturity that I have come to a place where I really would rather stand almost naked before you and
Hmm.
not hide than, than do all the hiding that I think I've really attempted to do in my life, just kind of dodging
And
the
putting the mask on, right?
in putting the mask on. And it's funny because as a person, as a woman, I tend to, get all dolled up. And, I think people make assumptions about a woman who tends to put herself together a certain way. But through the music, I always say, like, if I can get them to look, I can get them to listen. And if I can get them to listen, I can get them to hear. And I am a person who needs for her heart to be heard more
Mm.
than anything else. You know, um, this is show business, so we do kind of get dolled up and wave a shiny something so that look over here, look over here. I mean, we live in a culture now where people are constantly vying for attention
Sure.
in visual medium. So I guess for me, I'm fascinated by the juxtaposition of being something shiny, and then but the gold is deep, deep inside. I'm into like buried, deep gold. So
You know,
that's pardon me.
it's interesting. I was just, the Dolly Parton's all over the news lately, and
Yes,
it's the same aspect of things as far as, hey, you know what? You got to attract people,
yes.
and she's an amazing talent. It
Oh,
would have been very
I
short
mean,
lived if she was just
yes.
dressing trashy and,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
putting the girls out there, to so to speak.
Yeah,
But she carried it through, and
yes.
she's true to herself and
She
what she
is true
does
to
in her.
herself. Yep, absolutely. And I think, I mean, obviously, she's probably as uh, much of a spirit animal to me, and I adore her, and I truly relate to that sort of juxtaposition of a woman who's kind of turned up to 11, but at the same time, she's really speaking from the heart. She is the most honest and heart-centric person that I can think of in the
Mhm.
entertainment industry. And she shows us over and over again, time and again, that her heart is really what matters. It's not the blonde, it's not the blonde hair and the big boobs. It's really her heart that absolutely radiates. And that's what I relate to. That I do
Yeah,
powerfully, actually.
yeah. What's interesting from my position,
Yes,
and we spoke about this a little bit before the interview. I'm really enamored by songwriters, people who can
yes,
put their hearts out there and do it, and
yes,
say. And I've said this before. When I can tie into a song, particularly the lyrics of the song, it can speak to me in a way that I may never be able to express myself,
yeah,
or be open to being empathetic to somebody else's position.
yes,
I can't write as a woman, but I can understand maybe a little bit where
yeah,
you're coming from with that. And that
sure,
vulnerability, you really hit the nail on the head. That vulnerability of putting that risk out there is really where you really need to be. But then I'm going to turn the coin on you a little bit,
okay,
in that, and I spoke to other people about this. Everyone has a different way to attack the muse.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Taylor Swift right now, where
Yeah, sure.
you don't want to be Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriend,
No.
unless you want to be in infamy,
Yes, that's right.
But there's got to be that point where I got to ask you this: in being transparent with yourself and putting a lot of your emotion in, do you ever
Yeah.
take it and then try to put it into a character and work it in a different way? I guess.
Well, that's a great question. I always say if you want to live forever, love a songwriter because we do tend to share our truth and our experience. And I personally am an experiential songwriter. I have to live
Okay.
it to write it. If I haven't lived it, I'm probably not going to write about it. Um, there are many writers who write through observation. They can
Hmm.
sit at a restaurant across the room. They see a couple arguing at a table, and they can write the story from that perspective. I have to be the couple that's arguing. I have to be in the couple that's having the argument in order for me to be able to really turn it into something. I need to feel it. So my songs are my songs. They're my story.
Right. They're your children, really, when you come
They
out to it,
are.
right?
They
You look at
they
them as your
are.
babies.
And as far as turning into a character, I, I kind of have a very larger than life view of the world. I'm very deeply romantic, like a hopeful romantic rather than a hopeless romantic. I tend to
Okay.
romanticize life and kind of blow it up bigger than most. I
Sure.
think I'm coming from a very emotional life, internal life. It's very active. I'm a very emotionally active person, and it's not hard for me to feel. I think I do feel other people, like empathetic from an empathetic standpoint. So
Hmm.
I'm not. I wouldn't be at all surprised if, without knowing it, I'm incorporating other people's experience and other people's emotions into my songs. But usually the voice in my head is my own. It's not somebody else's voice, like, oh, I heard so and so say this, so I'm going to say it in a song. Usually it's something that comes to me or through me, that's deeply personal. And I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, no, you did, because it kind
okay.
of gives. It's nice because you're giving a way of how you approach the muse, and I've asked
Yes.
that question 1,000 ways and
Yeah,
gotten 1,000 different answers, and it depends on the
sure.
person.
Yes.
So that's really cool. But and what's funny is when I research an artist and I'm looking through Facebook page and stuff like that, and certain
Yeah.
things kind of jump out at me. And the one thing that I recognized in you is your sense of gratitude and feeling a blessing. And you seem to not afraid to say, hey, you're counting your blessings in some of the posts that you put up. And I
Yes.
think for a person, and take this from an old guy now, is if you can wake up in the morning, no matter what's going on, and my daughter was great with this, says, count
Mm.
the things that are really good.
Yeah.
They may not outweigh the rotten things or the crap you're going through, but it'll give you a perspective and a position on how to look things. And it's constantly we're reminding ourselves of that, and that's where I think music in particular. I'll get off my soapbox shortly.
No,
Is really helps you heal the world
yes.
through that. Those we constantly need reminders to say, you know what, it's I don't got it that bad.
Right.
Crap
I
happens,
know it's easy. It's very easy to forget since we are faced with so many challenges. And um, without realizing it, I think a lot of the material on this record really addresses that. I mean, I
Mm,
really do talk a lot. It just happened that way, that quite a few of the songs really address the dichotomy of life, that we, even in our darkest hour, we still have things that we can have gratitude for.
mm,
And if you can remember those things, you can live a better life. And
absolutely
you can feel the sunshine even when it's raining,
right.
it's
Hey,
dark.
let's do this. Let's just take a quick break,
Okay.
and when we come back, I really want
Hmm.
to turn the pages back because in the introduction that I read, It is very interesting. I want. How did she get this break? How did she end up in Nashville?
Yeah.
How did this all come together? And I'm telling you, the people listening to this podcast right now are on the edge of their seats. I can feel it. Want to know how could I do it? How could I get the break that Jenna got? So
Yeah.
stick with us, everybody. We'll be back with Jenna
Right
Torres.
back.
We got lots to talk about.
We
All right.
do.
All right, hang in there. At the Long Island Sound, we're much more than a podcast. We're building a community. Please go to gigdestiny.com, check out all our social media links, subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast. Please comment, call the listener line, tell us what you think, what questions we should ask, who we should have on the show. And most of all, we thank you for your generous support. And remember, support the artists who are guests on the show. Now back to the podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We're with Jenna Torres. I'm Steve Yusko, host of the Long Island Sound, as you know, because you see my ugly mug with the white hair all the time.
Great,
During the thanks, you're being very kind. As my wife says, I have a face for radio, so that's why it's very scary.
Oh.
I'm gonna put an avatar up. So I was really interested in your story in New York. We all went through 9/11. I've lost friends and acquaintances through 9/11, and my brother was a steam fitter right down there in a building
Wow.
to the side, and literally ran to City Hall and got on the last subway out before
Amazing.
that. So tell me about your story and how
Okay.
the solace of songwriting helped you.
Well, on the morning of 9/11, I was dropping my little daughter off at school, the little red schoolhouse on 6th Avenue and Bleecker Street,
Okay.
which was a direct shot to the World Trade Center.
Sure.
And it was about 8, I don't know what time it was, 8:07 or something like that.
9,
standing-
just after 9, I think, really.
just after 9. And I was talking to a mom, just like I'm talking to you, looking straight at her. And over her shoulder, I saw this little black bug fly into the World Trade Center. And as mom, the parents, it was just drop off, and we all turned around and watched the entire thing, grabbed our children, after the second plane hit, and ran as the dust clouds were coming, billowing up 6th Avenue. We really did run for our lives, and that's how it felt. And but I watched the whole thing, and then it was a demarcation point in my life. It was that day that I came to the realization that my marriage should not go forward, because I figured, well, if I was going to live to see tomorrow, it needed to be a different tomorrow than the life I had been living. So it really was on that day that there was a tectonic plate shift in the world.
Wow.
Everything changed from a micro and a macro. The whole world changed, and I changed right along with it. And in my own personal case, it was a moment of realization where I just thought, all right, how in life we accept things and we go on and on and on and on. But at some point you come to this realization, or hopefully you do, that you need to live the life that you see for yourself. And so it changed everything for me. And my first job after my separation was after the quarantine lifted and we were able to go downtown, is I got a job in real estate showing apartments 1 block from where the World Trade Center stood, at 110 Greenwich Street. So that is literally one block. And when I would take people, it was 97% vacant. 97% of the tenants fled, leaving behind their apartments filled with their belongings. I'd open the door and see the flat screen TVs and pictures of families, and just gone. They were out. And but I had a key ring with keys to all these apartments, and nobody really wanted to see them. I mean, very few people were trickling down there to move to basically a war zone. And when I would take people up to see the common area, you just look right down into the crater.
Into the pit.
It was a deeply wounded part of our world. It was just,
Mm,
I was sitting on a wound. And
right.
it didn't take long for me to realize that very few people were going to come during the day. So I had all this
Right.
time to myself, and I started bringing my guitar to work. And I would just go into these apartments where some of them were, empty, and I would just sit and I could just hear, the voices of the departed. I could feel the energy of the
Mm,
thousands of people whose souls were kind of, separated from their bodies on that day. It was
yeah. In
it
an
was
instant. Yeah.
quiet, it was empty, but it was full.
Right.
And the fullness,
Wow.
I allowed that fullness to kind of come inside of me. And
Mm,
and it pushed my emotions out. It gave me a chance to kind of separate from the chaos of my own life and welcome in this incredible kind of spirit that filled me with the need to express myself creatively. And I wrote a bunch of songs, and as fate would have it and luck would have it, those songs, I demoed those songs. I mean, for very little money.
right.
I made very few copies. I handed them out to a bunch of friends. I think I made 50 copies, to be honest.
Okay.
And
CDs or cassettes?
um, CDs.
Okay.
CDs.
Okay.
We were in the CD era.
All right. Okay.
I was around
Just
for
getting the
everything
getting the
from an LP
timeline
to a
together.
CD. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But no, they were CDs, and I handed them out, and one of them made its way to Warner Music, and Edgar
Wow.
Bronfman listened, and he liked what he heard, and he sent it to A&R at Warner Chapel, New York, Nashville, and LA. And it got passed on in New York, and it got passed on in Nashville. But lo and behold, Judy Stakey in Los Angeles heard it, and she called me up and she said, I don't know what it is, but I hear something. And
Wow.
if you ever get out to LA, I want to meet you. And of course, my life was basically in shambles at the time because I
Sure.
was
Sure.
just getting divorced and trying to figure out how to take care of my kid. And it took me almost a year before I made it out to LA, but I did
Wow.
make it out to LA, and I met her, and it was within 24 hours she offered me a deal, and I got off that plane, and the phone rang, and she'd spoken to my lawyer. It all just happened. It was just
Wow. Now
absolutely incredible.
let me ask you this. You said you had a guitar, so had you played music? Had you been out doing
Oh
gigs and
yeah.
stuff like that? Okay. Okay. All
Oh
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it just
I
you
mean, I
just didn't
dropped
pull
out of
the
school
guitar.
to make music. It just wasn't it
Okay. Okay.
this was the moment at which I was kind of sanctioned, like, yes, we dub you officially a person in music. Prior to that, it was just I was just doing what I wanted to do my way, and not many
Right.
people were paying that much attention, although I've been playing in bands for years.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I think that was really, in many ways, the birth of my own voice as a songwriter. And it's very different to just be a singer and a performer and a songwriter. Songwriting to me is the ultimate, it's the perfect vehicle for emotion. Uh, if you ask me, there is nothing like a song to
Mm-hmm.
convey uh, to send my heart directly to yours. I'd rather use a song than any other form of communication. It
Right.
is
Right.
magic. When you marry words and melody and music, it's like it's magic. It really is. All of a sudden, you put wings on a heart, on a soul, and it can get from me to you and penetrate through all that stuff, all the intellectual bullshit that we kind
Right.
of hide behind. It just pierces right through and gets to the heart of the matter, which is kind of all that matters to me.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, and I'll give you my perspective. Is, you know, as a guy,
Yeah,
I can't have babies and have that kind of creativity, right?
yeah.
So there's that need to create.
Hmm.
I find a need to work with my hands sometimes, just so I have something physical to say, hey, look, I
Tangible.
did that.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I made a desk, I made a chair, and there's 10,000 chairs out there. But when you write a song and you
Yeah,
have that magic, whether you're a soul, what I call a soul practitioner, where you're doing the music and the lyrics, or you are fortunate enough to have chemistry with somebody to to have them do lyrics and vice versa. I think it's really something special. And there's no other song, there's no other thing like that. I mean, how many
Right.
things can you say that, you know? Yeah, there's
Not
thousands
many.
of songs, but there's
Yes,
no song like the song you just did, right?
that's right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's great, man. I'm telling you,
yeah.
right now, I can see the people listening to the podcast driving with envy, going, I should have put
I
that
had
demo
that.
out years ago when I had that opportunity, you know?
Well, I
So,
am here to say that my dad always used to say, and I know it wasn't his quote, but he said, "Life is made sweeter by risk." And I genuinely believe, as hard as it is and as scary as it is sometimes,
mm,
uh, it's usually worth the risk. If it's a creative risk, take it. Just
right,
take it.
right.
You
It's
know,
interesting.
I
Hey, I just
mean,
want to make
yeah,
one other comment about 9/11.
sure.
You're the second guest that I had
Uh-huh.
that had a fascinating 9/11 turning point. And I'll just plug this other guy. He's a post-punk guy. Guy's name is
Uh-huh.
Blake Sandberg. Lived right down there as
Uh-huh.
well.
Really.
And he's both a visual artist, and he was
Mm-hmm.
open on 9/12. He was due to open his studio
Oh,
when 9/11
yeah.
happened, and his parents came in from like Virginia or North Carolina or something that day, and it was just like
Uh-huh.
this and he suffered horribly from the dust.
Oh,
You
yes,
know
absolutely. It can
that,
make you
and
very sick.
I still remember this because I was in sales like I am now, traveling down there, and I'm like seeing people with masks, and in my smarmy self, oh, what are they doing? Wait, yeah,
Yeah.
they said it's okay.
Right.
Foolish,
Yeah.
foolish me, right?
Sure. Well, we didn't know.
All right. So now you get the record deal. The one thing I can't
It
believe
was
it,
a publishing deal, actually.
publishing deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So meaning, explain that to the novice in me when
So
you
what a
mean you got a
publishing
publishing
deal
deal.
basically is that you write for a living. Um, you yeah, you write for a living, and certainly in the certain genres, writers are more essential than others. Like a lot of
Hmm.
genres, the writer and artist is one and the same. In
Right.
country music, traditionally for many, many years, frequently the artist is not the writer. So there's the writer and the artist. And still, a lot of the top 10, top 20, top 40 artists in country in particular, although nowadays artists like to be a writer on the song. Um, but
Yeah, because they change one word.
that's right. They change one word and they're like, I wrote that, because it's become such a critical revenue source for artists. I mean, there aren't that many left where you can actually make a living.
Right.
The writing and publishing and licensing of a song is still one of the few ways that make some, you can make some money. And, but yeah, when you get a publishing deal, I mean, I remained an artist throughout, but the idea was that I would write songs not only for myself but for other artists,
Hmm.
and it gave me an opportunity to write and to write for a living, and depending on what kind of a deal you get, I got a very good deal with Warner at the time, where I got to retain some of my publishing, retain my writer's share, and then it's their job to try to get those songs, recorded by other
Yeah,
artists.
they're
Hmm.
hawking the song,
Right,
and I don't mean that
exactly. Yes.
disparagingly, but hawking the song.
No, but that's what it is. They pitch it, they plug it, they try to get it out there.
Yeah. So the other day, I was with my friend Mike Nugent, who's my guitar
Hmm.
teacher, although he'd probably never say that publicly if you heard me play guitar. Mike Nugent's a great guy, and
Uh-huh.
he just put up another CD on CD Baby,
Hmm.
and I'm helping him with it because he's not that computer literate, and he's like, "Okay, this is I'm also my publishing company." And I
Yes.
said, "Gee," I said, "Why do you do that?" He goes, "Because then you don't split the money.
Right.
You have the writing, you're the artist, and you're the
Yes.
publisher." And I
That's
was
right.
like, "Wow, oh, I learned
Yes.
something."
Yes. And even if you had a publishing deal, you'd still want to have your own publishing entity, because
Right.
yeah, you collect from both sources. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mike is validated. Jenna, since you
Yes.
you double
He
down on
certainly
that, then
is.
we.
That's right. Oh yes, absolutely. He's doing it right.
All right. So now take me after this publisher. Did you stay in New York? I mean, where did your
Oh,
life
so one of
started going from that point?
it was kind of a package deal in that Judy said to me, "You're going down to Nashville." And I was
Okay.
like, I'm going where? I'm doing what? Because as a kind of writer, organically, with no one influencing me, I had a tendency towards kind of country-ish music. I mean,
Okay.
I consider my music sort of a hybrid of a number of influences, um, none of which I'm really aware of. They just came into me and come through me. But
Hmm.
she's like, I'm sending you to Nashville. So on their dime, I started
Cool.
making regular trips to Nashville. And I'd show up and my schedule would be full. I'd write from Monday to Friday and then go back and take care of my kid. And, so it basically 1 week a month I would spend in Nashville writing. And that went on for a number of years and it was
Oh, interesting.
absolutely magic. Yeah.
Really?
Uh, yes.
It's
Yeah.
I went to Nashville over a year ago. It was a zoo,
Uh-huh.
by the way.
Yes.
A lot
Oh,
of
it is a zoo.
bridesmaids.
Yes,
It's
I
it's
know.
it's it's like bridesmaid drunken Disney to a
It
certain
is.
extent.
It really is. It's become, the world's most popular destination for bridesmaids. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of drunken Disney, a lot of
Yeah,
drunken
except at the end of
cowboy
May and
boots and
June
mini skirts.
when it's tremendous heat and humidity.
That's right. And where the brides are melted on the sidewalk. They melt all throughout the season. So I don't think it's exclusive to the summer. You can find them littered on the streets. It's like they only stay upright for just so long, and eventually they kind of
They
go down.
topple over, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about our audience heard "Just a Mountain" coming
Yeah.
into the podcast, which gave us
Yes.
a good experience of your music. Tell me how that came about. Was it on your latest album? Kind of position
It
it
is
for me.
on my latest album, and the song Just a Mountain came about because I, just like pretty much every other human being I know, faces challenges and hardship. And I guess, sometimes they come at you and they're huge and you just don't know how you're ever going to get over it. And
Hmm.
I think it was my way of saying, it's just a mountain. We all have mountains to climb.
Yep.
And it's just one more mountain. And, in my experience, I've been around long enough to have climbed up and down many, many mountains, you
Right.
know,
Right.
uh, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and psychologically. Uh, all kinds of things present challenges throughout life. I'm a woman, I'm a mom, I've been a wife, I'm a lover, a friend, and, I've had physical challenges, emotional challenges, and I really don't know anybody who hasn't. So
Right. Sure.
in this song to me was really it's kind of words of encouragement, and I frequently when I write I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to me.
Right. We
I'm
preach.
kind of
We
saying,
preach to
listen,
ourselves in
right?
music,
Yeah.
don't we? Yeah.
And there's something, how it's so easy to tell somebody else how to help themselves and it's so hard to hear it for yourself. As a songwriter, in an effort to help other people, I'm saying, it's just a mountain, you can do it, just, you'll get over it. And then it kind of comes right back at me. It's like, Jen, you have to believe what you are preaching. You have to,
Yeah.
walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So I do try to internalize that message. And basically, it's a hopeful song. And I really do want people to feel a sense of hope from the song, that just don't quit. It's just a mountain. If you get up it, you'll be able to come down it, but you can't quit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what I saw? I in doing my limited research on you, I saw
Yeah.
you. By the way, your videos are great.
Thank you.
They really, and we'll give some links to the people to check it
Great.
out.
Yeah,
But
I'd love for people to check them out. Yeah.
yeah, just Google Jenna Torres and you'll find it. But I want to talk about the next song, and we'll get into more stuff.
Sure.
Prayers Up. Tell me
Yeah.
how that came about, and then we'll take a break and have our audience listen to it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well, to me, prayer is a universal conversation. I
sure.
don't consider it to be exclusive to any particular faith. I just think it is exclusive to faith in general, and it is a way of expressing one's need for for help. It's a conversation with
Hmm.
whomever your higher power is, and I frequently find, certainly being on social media, people asking for prayers on
Yeah.
a daily basis. People faced with tremendous challenges and asking for a friend, asking for my mom, asking for my, you know, my husband or wife, I just found this very consistent uh, message, which is please pray for me. You know, keep me in your prayers. And I mean, I honestly have chills because
Mm,
I feel like it's the easiest thing to do. It is free. It is to welcome someone else into your prayers and to say, today I'm not only praying for my own family, but I'm praying for yours too. I'm not
right.
only praying for my safety, the safety of my child, my loved ones, but I am praying for the Ukraine. I am praying for the world. I am asking that whoever shines down on us, don't forget to keep shining because we need you, you know. And I kind of having had my own dark moments
Sure.
and knowing that when you get to the very bottom, that that mustard seed of faith, really what it does is it inspires us to not give up. you
Yep.
know I mean, you think you're going to give up and you think I can't take this anymore and this is too much for me, but somehow down at the bottom we tend to look up. We tend to look up and reach up for something. And prayers up is my way of saying, I'm here, I'm going to pray for you, please pray for me. Let's just put our energy together collectively and personally, and believe that things can turn around, believe that things can get better, because we
Right.
do live in very challenging times, both personally and globally.
Yep.
And I do think the least we can do for one another is to believe in each other, to be kind to one another, and to pray for one another. Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to tell you a quick prayer story that I had,
Yeah.
which really kind of blew my socks off. I was helping this elderly man. His daughter, who happened to be a preacher out west somewhere, gave me a call to check on Dad. And at that time, I was going through one of my many job changes, and I said, "Hey, would you say a prayer for me?" Maybe because she was a pastor, I just kind of said that, and she goes,
Yeah.
"Okay." And she goes, "Can I pray for you right now?" And I said, "Yeah,
That's good.
sure." While I was on the phone, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm not
You're
used to
getting it. You're
this."
getting the goods like right then and there.
Yeah, it's better than the prayer hand emojis and stuff like that.
Sure.
And
Yes.
it just put everything in a different perspective. And here I go talking to myself, and we're supposed to talk about your song,
No,
but
no, that's
the
fine.
the, the
We are
power of
talking about
prayer
us. Yeah.
and the impact that it can make on moving you forward up that mountain is
Yes. That's
kind of
right.
cool.
Those
All
songs
right,
kind of belong together. Yeah. Mhm.
so without further ado, because
Yes.
they're biting to hear this song, let's have a listen to "Prayers Up," and we'll be right back after the song. Check it out, everybody.
Counting bottles in the trash. She thinks it's too much to ask for mercy on a Thursday afternoon. She hasn't made her bed in weeks. She's lying there, afraid to speak. And she can't bring herself to leave this room. The only way to heal the hurt inside, bow your head and surrender to the sky, sending prayers up. Can you rain your blessings down? Prayers up. Can you spread your love around? Are we too broken to believe? Can't you tell how bad we need it? Sending prayers up. Daddy's waiting on a downtown train to pick his little girl up in the rain and get her home for supper just in time. She said, Mama left us late last June. I still miss her. How about you? He said, baby, even grown men need to cry. The only way to heal the hurt inside is to bow your head surrender to the sky, sending prayers. Can you rain your blessings down? Prayers. Can you spread your love around? Are we too broken to believe? Can't you tell how bad we need it? Sending prayers. Prayers. Hear the voices of the lonely. Think that no one cares. Crying out for something holy when it feels like no one's there. You are everywhere. Sending prayers up. Prayers up. Prayers, prayers up, sending prayers up. Can you rain your blessings down? Prayers up. Can you spread your love around? Are we too broken to believe? Can't you tell how bad we need it? Sending prayers up. Prayers up, sending prayers up, prayers up.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Steve Yusko. I am so happy. I'm telling you, I'm tickled pink here to speak to Jenna Torres. We're having such a good time chatting with each other. It's like, I said it's like speed dating. You know, we've
Yes,
never met. We're
right.
meeting online, but we're finding some
We're digging
connection,
deep.
which I
Yes,
feel very blessed.
exactly.
We're digging deep.
Yeah.
Why not? Go into, as I think it's in the Bible, go into the deep. Dare to go
Oh,
into the
yes,
deep.
that's right.
Right?
Beautiful.
So I'm interested in your take of when you first got into the music business
Yeah.
and where it is now. I have some opinions, but I'm really interested in your perspective on things.
Sure. Well, I've been around for a while, and I can remember some of the first meetings I took in the music industry where at that time, your only chance was to get a record deal and to be sanctioned by
Right.
a major label or any label. And if you didn't have label support or the support of, the people who basically said you're allowed to be an artist, nothing was going to happen. And I mean, I
Right.
remember like standing on people's desks, putting my cassette in, auditioning, like doing all kinds of crazy stuff just to get people to say, yes, we'll give you a development deal. Yes, we'll take you on. And and in those days there were just a bunch of guys in suits behind desks. There were the A&R people who
Right.
would scour the clubs. They'd pick us out of the crowd. They'd pick us up. They'd say, come on in for a meeting. Your heart would be in your throat. You'd be like,
In your throat.
yeah,
Yeah, sure.
because without the being sanctioned, without being accepted, you were never going to get a chance in music. And so the fundamental difference between what's happening now versus what was happening then is that the people have power now. We have social media, we have freedom, we have recording studios in our bathrooms, we have things we can do, any number of things. I mean, back when it was 2-inch tape that you had to splice and every roll, you could. I mean, the masters were owned by the record companies, and you just didn't have the
Right.
autonomy and the voice that you have now. And yeah, I mean, we have so much more control over our creativity for sure. Whether or not we
Mhm.
have control over our success, that is just going to be always the big conundrum. How do you do
Yeah.
it? We make music because we can't help ourselves, and then turning it into
Right.
commerce versus art is just, they're weird bedfellows. To put a price tag on your heart and soul is very tough. And we make
Oh,
this stuff, we out of our blood, sweat, and tears. We love what we do and we want you to hear it, but how to go about that is it's like it's a slippery fish. It's always changing. It's always moving. One week the algorithms are doing this, the next week they're doing that.
Right.
And then, there still remains, of course, the echelon, which at the top of the food chain are still labels with millions and millions of dollars. They dominate, the airwaves, the top tier radio and all of that is still bought and paid
Right.
for by, the top tier. And
Mm.
sometimes people break through and do incredible things. I mean, my goodness, miracles happen, in this day and age,
Right.
because
Right.
you can build a following, build an audience, win hearts over, and then show up on the doorstep of a major corporation and say, I've already got 10 million of this or 5 million of that. And, just, give me some money and I can do the rest, kind of a thing, whereas
Right.
in the old days, people were developed and you couldn't do much without, somebody having deep pockets.
Backing.
Yeah, exactly.
You bring up a good point, because I was literally on a phone. I won't mention the guy yesterday.
Okay.
I'll call him an older curmudgeon from Long Island
Yeah.
who had the opportunity as a young man to spotlight Bruce Springsteen and all
Wow.
these famous people in a local club,
Mhm.
right? And I called him. I called him to be on the podcast. He actually referred me to another guest, which was great. But he went right off the bat complaining about how lousy things are. Like, hey, how can you make money doing a
Yeah.
podcast? It's crazy, this and that, And I'm like thinking, well, this may be naive of me. I'm not doing it to make money, obviously,
Right.
but I'm doing it because, honestly, I like talking to people like you and
Yeah.
finding out the secret sauce of what you did. Not that I'm going to do anything with it, but I just find it just fascinating, of where you go. How do you keep on going? How do you keep
Right.
how do you keep the creative juices going?
Yes.
And now it's, it's in your DNA, right?
Yes.
So this is what you
What you do.
do.
And if you find
And
yourself overly focused on, like your curmudgeon friend, thinking about how you make a living at it, why you can or can't break through, it can get very depressing and demoralizing. And
Sure.
I think artists are sensitive to begin with. So we are vulnerable and we are susceptible to despair when things are not going well. But we rally because we're sustained by the music, we're sustained by the art, we're sustained by the incredible blessing of being able to express ourselves. Self-expression to me
And create.
is critical in any life. I don't think any one of us needs it more than any other one of us. We all need to
Mhm,
express
mhm.
ourselves. People who express themselves through music are very fortunate because we really get it out. We really have a
Sure.
way of like exteriorizing our hearts, our souls, our troubles, our triumphs. We have a way of taking it from the inside and getting it out. I think it's very healthy, that we are able to kind of recycle and reconfigure all of our life experiences and make something beautiful out of it, make something that I can actually give to you. But I think everybody needs a way of kind of getting it out, and
Yeah. So let's talk about it. I'm going to cut you off
Yeah.
because I'm from New
Yeah,
York,
yeah.
and that's what
that's
we do.
what we
We're
do.
rude.
Yeah, no problem.
So that's what we
Yeah.
do. So get used to it. And, it's my time
Of
now.
course.
All
Go
right. It's
for
my
it,
time
go
to
for
talk now.
it.
So we were touching, I don't know if we did this online or offline. We were talking about, appearances. People
Oh, yeah.
see things first. I want to be that shiny object that they
Right.
can look at, and then they'll hear me. Maybe they'll listen to me, then they'll hear me, then they'll get it,
Right.
type of
Exactly.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Now let's take that and talk about social media, because I found some younger guys, the Como brothers. I keep thinking about these guys. They're like the Everly brothers.
Okay.
They're full-time musicians, phenomenal guys.
Yeah.
They literally put a song out every 2 weeks. Boom, boom, boom.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Collaborative. They've got the social media thing down.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to throw an analogy at you. What's interesting, and I think it can be a generational divide with some
Yes.
people who don't have publicists and people to do that thing for them. And you said it before. Hey, we all have our own little studios in our bathroom. And we
Right.
all have our cameras.
Yeah.
We've got our production
That's it.
right here in the iPhone.
That's right.
So I almost, this just came to my mind. It's akin to fishing in that I have a tackle box of social media with a bunch of different lures in it. and I'm going to use Allure for TikTok and Allure for Instagram and Allure for Facebook.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it's a full-time job,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it is.
You got to do goofy stuff sometimes to be the shiny penny.
Right.
But I tell you, even lowly Steve Yusko with the Long Island Sound podcast got guests off of TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Right.
And I'm not TikToking every day.
But
and
you did it.
China finds my face.
You have been able
but I
to,
did it,
yeah.
and I found people.
Yeah, absolutely. People can be found.
You know?
I mean, that's the other thing that's so different is that if you weren't formally sanctioned by big corporations, no one could find you. They wouldn't even know you were there. You know, I mean, I remember when we used to take like paste and plaster our posters in the dead of night because it was illegal to put up, flyers and posters,
Right, sure.
And that was about
on
as
construction
social
site
media
walls
as we got, was that we would like cover, construction sites with pasted, posters saying, I'm going to be at CBGB's, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there. We didn't have the network that people have now. I mean, literally, 1 million people can know what you're doing through social media, or 100 or 1,000 or however many you can reach. But, you can reach the world, whether, it's in a small way or a big way or a massive way. And that is a byproduct of, technology and the times that we're living in. And that's nothing to sneeze at. We can reach each other in a very profound way. So yeah, we should be rejoicing.
Now you brought up a nugget of a story talking about research and connectivity,
Yes.
which still blows my mind. Do you want to tell the audience about it?
Well-
Because it's just, I'm just like, I'm pinching myself. No way.
Well,
right?
I
Tell
don't
'em the
often
story.
share this, but I'm going to do it with you because it's too
Thank you.
wonderful and synchronistic. We did, this was a last minute speed date between you and me. We didn't really plan on this. It just happened. And so I didn't have time to really dig too deep into what you do and what you're all about. I'm really enjoying discovering it, in the moment. But I did notice right
Thank you.
away that you seem to absolutely love someone that I know well and have known for many, many, many years, because I was his background vocalist on the Bad Out of Hell tour when he was opening for Meatloaf. And that is
Wow.
Elliot Murphy, the Garden City Prophet. And,
Yes.
I love Elliot. And, of course, I was a baby when I did that, still, basically a toddler, let's just say. But it was an incredible experience to work with Elliot. He is a tremendously talented person, a gifted artist, in addition to being the most wonderful person. And I know that you know that, right? He's
Agreed.
just a sweetheart.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Because I feel like such a knucklehead, that I
That
did.
you didn't
He's
know
from a
about
different
him,
era
but
than I. He's standing right next to me at the Long Island
Yeah.
Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I have a microphone in my hand. I ask him to be on the podcast. He says yes,
And you didn't realize.
and then I look him up, and I'm like, "Holy crap!
Yes, right.
He's got a Google list,
Yeah,
10
I
miles
know,
long."
and he's
And
so prolific and so
exactly.
brilliant. He's just a brilliant guy, and and he did
Yeah.
move to France, so a lot of Americans didn't have the benefit of watching him, his career, which
Well, now
never
on the
end.
Long Island Sound podcast,
Yes,
they're going to learn
yes,
about
yeah.
him. Look up the
Everybody
Elliot
listen to
Murphy
Elliot Murphy's
episode.
episode, absolutely, because
So just a snippet for those who don't know. Elliot Murphy was basically earmarked along with Loudon Wainwright III, John Prine, and Bruce Springsteen as the next Bob Dylan's.
yes.
And let's leave it there because there's so much
much
to
to tell.
discover in a really great, a great man.
Yeah.
So it's funny. We talked about the connectivity of the musical community. We didn't know each other
No.
before this. We got connected
Yeah.
through your publicist, which thank God for
Yes.
that. And I know
Thank you,
she's
Crystal.
listening on.
Love you.
Thank you, Crystal. So that's wonderful. So you learned your chops with
yes,
some of the
I
masters.
did.
So I'm finding out.
Absolutely. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you love
That's
Elliot
great. And
because he's so worthy of love. Yeah.
I got to do another. I'm going to make. We're going to make Elliot listen to this.
Okay.
And I got to get it. I got to. I'm going to make him do
Elliot.
it. Yeah, like, and I want to get him back because this.
Oh yeah, you could.
It's
you could
one of
just
those
do a year's
interviews you
worth
leave
of,
going.
yeah.
There's so much more
Oh, yeah,
here.
so much more.
You know.
He's rich.
Hey, so now, a lot of your songs have a spiritual connotation to it.
Yeah.
And then you come out with this Tennessee Heat song, which I don't know if it has the explicit thing marked off on the CD or whatever, but
it's hot.
Tell me a bit. I'm joking, of course. Tell me a little bit about Tennessee Heat. I don't want to know too many details because I got.
We got to keep this PG or G-rated. Well, I'll tell you. I think that I find it interesting. We all are everything. All people are everything. We are kind of saints and sinners. We are good and, I wouldn't say bad, but I think we all have a full spectrum of curiosity, of emotion. And I tend to have extreme connection to my spiritual life, but I'm also a very sensual person and truly enjoy and passionate person. And as a songwriter, love is honestly my favorite subject, and love and passion. And, when I wrote this song and all the songs on this record, when they came together and I was looking at them as a whole, I could see there's this kind of dichotomy between the sexy stuff, the super sexy stuff. I got a bunch of really sexy songs on this record. Then I have a bunch of really spiritual songs on this record. And I was sort of challenged by some people, like, how can you put them both in one project?
It's life.
But to me, that is life. You can't really, I don't have one without the other. They kind of, they commingle. So Tennessee Heat is both, it's really an ode to my newfound love of Tennessee. I came down here with absolutely no awareness that I could ever love any place other than New York. I'm a hardcore New Yorker, born and raised. I raised my daughter there, and my family's there, and I just never thought I could love another place because New York has everything. But I was wrong. I was
center of the world, right?
But I was wrong. Because Tennessee and Nashville in particular has given me a sense of community, like a tribal community, where I, as a person, as an artist, it's self-explanatory. I don't have to say anything. All my friends and the people that I work with down here, my musical community and comrades, we just understand each other. And I never thought that would happen, that I would find a family away from my family that kind of, how your family gets you? Well, my musical family gets me. And that's a thrill to be understood on that level. So the song is, I find Nashville and Tennessee a very sexy place. It gets really hot. The less you wear, the more comfortable you're going to feel. And
I'm liking that.
And it is, it's kind of,
depends on the person.
It does depend on the person, but there's a freedom to it. Because in very hot places, people just let it all hang out and have a good time. And, it gets hot and steamy, and it's a good place for very passionate experiences. Let's just put it that way. And I wrote Tennessee Heat is a song that to me speaks not only to my love of, a romance, of a Tennessee romance, but also to my love of this place. I really fell in love with Tennessee. And if you do go see the video, we did a lot of drone shots that were these incredible, expansive images of Tennessee. We shot the video on a tobacco farm on the Kentucky border, and it is so beautiful. The country is so beautiful. It's just breathtaking. In my opinion, Tennessee is the star of that video. And I'm very proud of what we did, because I really wanted to really feature the beauty and landscape of Tennessee, which is breathtaking. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. Now, with that introduction, you got to listen to Tennessee Heat. And we'll be right back after the song. I got to cool off after the song. So
cold shower.
Hang with us, everybody.
8 o'clock and the setting sun shines like fire in your eyes. We got nothing to do but do what we do when that feeling strikes. Well, it's hot like a match and hard like a hammer. Let's not get off track. Baby, I want you and you want me, and there ain't no turning back. headlights pointed south. There's moonlight on the river, and the night can't cool us down. It's a long road back to where I'm from, and home is hard to leave. Baby, we can drive each other wild, 'cause love's a two-way street. Follow my heart, follow my lead. Make the whiskey strong and the kisses sweet. Don't pick me up, knock me off my feet. Lay me down in the Tennessee heat. Oh, in the Tennessee Smoke rings dance across the sky, burning with desire. Heat rises from this heart of mine, and the flames are growing higher. Well, it's raging and it's fast, and it's wild and it's loud. All the water in the Cumberland, well, it could not put it out. Follow my heart, follow my lead. Make the whiskey strong and the kisses sweet. Don't pick me up, knock me off my feet. Lay me down in the Tennessee heat. In the Tennessee heat. Lay me down in the Tennessee heat. In the Tennessee
Hey everybody, Steve Yusko here with Jenna Torres, and we just listened to Tennessee Heat. What a great song. I have to take a sip of wine now because I'm really overheating. And man, I wish you such great success with this music.
Thank you.
So
Thank
tell me,
you,
what do you
Steve.
got coming up? What's the next release for Jenna Torres?
So the next release is the full album. It's entitled Heaven and Hurt, and I think we're going to listen to that at the end of the show, or whenever it is that you splice this
Hey,
together.
you're the artist. You tell me what to do. I'm
Yes,
married. I'm
and
used to direction. So
okay, good. It comes out on March 24th. I'm excited to say, and we started recording this album actually pre-COVID, and
oh,
uh, and then it was thwarted, and then we came back uh, 2 years later and finished it. So I'm very, very excited to finally share this music, and the title track "Heaven and Hurt" was written kind of after the rest of it, because I really felt like uh, this the record itself has a kind of a full spectrum of experience and emotion, and like we were saying a few moments ago, I am both a very spiritual and very sensual person.
mhm.
I have a very active kind of spiritual connection in life, and a very active, sort of physical love of experience, of
You got the whole
actual.
package going.
I
Right.
got the whole package going,
All right.
and there are songs that address all those different kind of aspects of my life experience on the record, and I felt like I needed a bridge between them. I needed to not explain, but sort of make like a holographic picture of why I have this expansive or full spectrum view of life. And
Okay.
that is because I see the heaven and the hurt in life. And that you can't really have one without the other. Life is not exclusively good or exclusively bad. As a matter of fact, sometimes good and bad things happen a breath apart, or
Yeah,
simultaneously.
the weed with the wheat, right?
The weed with the wheat. And so that is kind of what this song is about fully embracing the reality that you can, you can rejoice and be weeping in the same
Right.
moment. You can have reasons, cause for rejoicing, things that feel like blessings and things that feel like burdens. And that's life. That is life. That we don't
So
get to have just one or the other. Yeah.
I want to ask you this about the release, because I've seen a different trend of things
Hmm.
where you'll have some artists that'll put out single after single in short period of times,
Yes.
EPs, 3 or 4 songs. Did you do a combination of that, or did you wait? Are you waiting to do like the full
I
album
definitely
release?
did a combination of that. I've
Okay.
released quite a few singles off the record.
Okay.
All of them you heard today. Uh,
Okay, great.
Just a Mountain, Prayers Up, Tennessee Heat. Um, is that it? I think that might be it for
Yeah,
this record.
so you're kind of keeping your audience engaged, I think is
Yes,
the way to do
it's
it.
kind of you roll it out or you work your way up to it. Kind of we're
Right, right.
ramping up to the full release, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy giving people, the fact is, people really listen to one song at a time. And, you know, uh, I'd love to think that people are going to put the album on and listen to the whole thing from beginning to end. But, you know, a lot of times
Unlikely, right.
it's unlikely, especially in today's world where it's not an LP thing and you don't have the distraction of a million other things. People don't go to their bedroom, excuse me, with an LP, put it on, hold it, read the liner notes. It's like it used to be
Right.
like a religious experience to get an album and listen to it from beginning to end. And people had the bandwidth and the attention span to do that. I don't know that we, as a whole, I think people have much shorter attention spans,
Well,
and you're lucky if they make it through.
you might bring up a good point then. In fact, the switching from waiting till you have a full album of songs, right?
Hmm.
And I'm asking this in a way
Yes,
from an
sure.
artist perspective. If you approach it and say EPs didn't exist, okay,
Hmm.
so you're taking a group of songs, say let's 20 songs,
Hmm.
but you're going to whittle it down to 12.
Yeah,
I would assume from an artist perspective, you're looking for the continuity between the songs in the old days to move from, okay, yeah, this has to be the first song on side one, and it
yeah.
needs to lead into this, into that. That seems to be gone,
It does seem to be gone.
right?
It is gone largely. I mean, obviously,
Mm,
some people still focus on that, but not so much anymore.
right,
You're
right,
you're kind of shooting your best shot, or you know, yeah. I mean, things happen one at a time right now
right,
because we just don't have the luxury of patience. People just are not patient. You know,
right.
people are extremely, extremely impatient. We've lost touch with patience, I think, which is unfortunate because, to really listen deeply, you need patience. You
I
can't
know.
rush.
That's what I pray for.
Yeah,
Someday it'll come.
patience.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a very patient person, but I know that the power of music kind of grounds me in a place where I'm like, I'm willing to shut out everything and just listen. It's magic what music can do. You hear it and then you kind of follow along. It's almost like the Pied Piper. You just follow the flute, into the
Right.
ocean of music, and it takes you somewhere else. It takes you out of the mundane. It takes you out of your head. It takes you into your heart, and it takes you someplace you weren't expecting to go. And and if you got 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you can get there and you can have that whole experience, like live a whole life in a very short period of time, which is why I feel like, again, to say again, that a song is a perfect vehicle for not only emotion but like a life experience. You can have an experience by listening to a song, which I just love. Yeah, I love
It's
that.
funny. You tied right into my catchphrase, which is be generous with your joy, keep your spirits high, and let the music take you on a journey. So you've
That's
kind of you've
perfect.
summed it up, the journey part
Wonderful.
and the tail end of that. And with that, let's take a listen to Heaven and Hurt, and we'll be right back with Jenna Torres. I feel like this is an exclusive, so at least in my mind.
That it is.
Heaven and Hurt. We'll be right back after the song.
Sometimes we both want the same thing. Sometimes we both want it all. We fly so high, shooting stars in the sky till we burn out and take that free fall. Every wave that we ride, we hold on side by side, knowing we're both heading home. As hard as we try to make sense of this life, we're all in this together alone. When everything breaks here on earth, hearts and bones and our self-worth, when it all shatters, remember you matter, 'cause that's just how love and life work. For better or worse, it's a whole lot of heaven and earth. Well, I'm not just here for a good time, I'm here for the time of my life. Oh, it's my holy grail, I will try and I fail, won't give up without a good fight. When everything breaks here on earth, hearts and bones and our self-worth, when it all shatters, remember you matter, 'cause that's just how love and life work. For better or worse, it's a whole lot of heaven and hurt. We're laughing and crying, living and dying, hoping and joking around. We're giving and taking, smile while we're breaking. Everything that goes up must come down. When everything breaks here on earth, hearts and bones and our self-worth, when it all shatters, remember you matter, 'cause that's just how love and life work. For better or worse, it's a whole lot of heaven and hurt. For better or worse, it's a whole lot of heaven and hurt.
Hi, everybody. We're back. I'm telling you, this has really been a lot of fun, Jenna. Talking to you,
Been fun for me too,
going
Stephen.
into the deep. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about your new album, Heaven and Hurt.
Thank
It
you.
really sums things up in a great way. And I encourage all my listeners to really check it out. There's really a diversity in Jenna's music. I don't like to pin anybody down to a genre, which opens up the
Good.
world to things. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
once Some people like to be defined. Some people need things in, perpendicular and parallel lines. Not me.
Yeah, not me.
Just hear the music and let it become your soundtrack.
Come check it out, and I'm easy to find if you want to come and say hi.
So we're looking for this to be out on March 24th. Are you going to follow up with any festivals or support of it, or how do you approach that?
I definitely will be playing live. I know that I'm going to be playing here in Nashville on May 13th at the 5 Spot for anybody who's going to be around locally. Right. And I'm going to I'll post on all my social media various gigs and stuff. And
what's your website, Jenna?
It's JennaTorres.com.
Oh, very easy. All right, cool.
So that's easy. And then, I think if you really want to engage with me, then Facebook and Instagram are probably the best places to do it.
Excellent. Yeah. So I have a good friend of mine, and this I end my podcast many times this way because it really hit home with me. And he actually was Joe Torres. Joe Torre from the Mets was at a golf outing with my friend Bob. And Bob was poo-pooing his activity and volunteerism in this particular event. Oh. And Joe Torre said to him, he said, look, he goes, you can count for what you have in the bank, what you own. You can never account for the time you have left on this earth. And the fact that you, Jenna Torres, have given me your time is a blessing, and I really appreciate it. So,
thank you, Stephen. I feel just the same way about you.
You've
given me your time. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to connect with your audience. So thank you. Yeah.
All right. So we'll see everybody. Hang in there.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate the time you spent with us. Please subscribe and comment and visit us at gigdestiny.com. Until next time, be generous with your joy, keep your spirits high, and let the music take you on a journey. Be well. Peace.